This is just a very short video about how I see the future of training after the COVID virus has gone again. However long that's going to take, who knows. So, before the virus, we were happily travelling around doing face-to-face training. And that was fine. So here's face-to-face. And what's happened now is that face-to-face has pretty much stopped completely, and we've changed over to Zoom. Now, I've drawn Zoom as smaller because there is less Zoom training work around than there was face-to-face, because I think we'd all agree that Zoom isn't really quite as good. It's not bad though, it's turned out to be better than many of us thought, but you don't have that group discussion and quite as much sort of humour and fun as you used to have with face-to-face training, but nevertheless you can get the message across. Actually, Zoom does have some advantages, of course, if you've got teams spread around the country or even around the world, and also teams working from home, which I think is going to continue to be a feature after all of this has gone. So, we're surviving doing Zoom and it's not too bad. Now, what's going to happen afterwards? And I think afterwards we will go back to face-to-face again. And whether that will be next year or the year after, who knows? But we will go back to face-to-face, I'm sure. But also, Zoom is here to stay. We've discovered that Zoom is actually great for remote teams. So I think Zoom will continue afterwards. So I think for trainers, actually, things are going to be better afterwards now that Zoom has managed to make itself understood. But it's better than that, because there's one more box I want to draw, which is coaching. Now, I've never been interested in coaching, and I think many trainers have not been interested in coaching, because with coaching you have to drive around the country in order to do just a 1 hour coaching session, and it's not worth an hour or two of driving just to do 1 hour of coaching for £200, when you could do a training session, a whole day of face-to-face training for perhaps £1,000. So coaching has always been something that I just haven't fancied. But that's a real shame, because actually training plus coaching is the best combination of all. Coaching on its own is not as good because people have to be told the answer before they can then apply it. And coaching is not as efficient if you have to do it all one-to-one. It's really expensive to coach people from scratch. So it makes more sense to do a training course first to a group of people and get the message across, and then coach the individuals. And training on its own is not as good as a mixed model either, because if you train people and walk away, half of them are not going to do it. It's too difficult for them to make the link to their own work and then to overcome the problems and work out how to apply it. So training plus coaching would be the ideal model if you could do it. And now that we have Zoom, we can do Zoom plus coaching. And that has become a really good model. And even during the COVID crisis, it's possible to do a certain amount of Zoom training and Zoom coaching. And that's a good living for trainers, and it's great for customers because they're getting the best combination. But of course, afterwards, we've now got coaching on top here as well. So I think the possibilities for trainers after the lockdown, after COVID has gone, we've got a vaccine or everybody's had it, whatever happens, once it's gone, we're going to be back to face-to-face, we're going to have Zoom training, and we're going to have coaching, all as possible ways to earn our living. So that's how I see the future. I know I'm an optimist, but I think that looks right. So I think the future's looking good for management trainers. And by the way, as I always say, if you're interested in learning more about training, do contact me. Just send me a message in LinkedIn or whatever, and maybe I can help you get into training, because I'm doing coaching at the moment in how to learn to be a trainer. So contact me if you think you might be interested in doing this, because I really do think the future is looking good for trainers.